Okay, everyone. So we are here with today's sermon. So you may settle down for this and say sadhu to start. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Idahang bante eko gamang pindaya pavisami eko patikkamami eko raho nisidami eko chankamang adittami evang kvahang bante ekavihari ekaviharissacha vannavaditi. Dear Dhamma friends, so we have started a retreat today. And these few days, we are going to discuss some Dhamma at this time. And we'll see how this discussion can help your practice, how this discussion can support your practice. Now, we as humans, we are social creatures. We usually prefer the comfort of our family members. We prefer the comfort of our home. We prefer the comfort of our friends. That's how we prefer to live our life. And usually we are in company with them. We would like to spend time with them. We would like to talk to our friends regularly. Maybe they are far away, but still you somehow call them or video call them, somehow try to be close to them. So this way we can see humans, us, we are social creatures. And being alone in this world, it feels like some bad luck. If you are alone, then the world will say this person has some bad luck. This person has no friends. This person has no family members. That way the world will think. So in a way, if you have many people surrounding you, if you have a lot of family members, friends, then the society or the world consider it as a good thing. You have many people by you, you have good company with them. That's how we think. If you are alone, it's not a good thing. It is not considered as a good thing. And being alone, we don't feel comfortable. Being alone for a while, we don't feel comfortable. We feel that we have to do something. Maybe sometimes, although you are alone, you use your devices like phones, other devices to distract you. You don't like being alone. And even let's say if one person is not with you, you go find somebody else. This way we don't like the thought of being alone. And let's say being alone for a lifetime, that sounds like a dreadful dream. We don't want to be alone for a lifetime. That could be too difficult to bear. That could be too hard for us to endure. Right? So that way, we usually prefer company of other people. But in this Dhamma, in this practice, or even in some other practices, the solitude is appreciated. The solitude is considered as something good for you. If you feel bad in solitude, that means you are in bad company. When you are in solitude, you are in company with you. Right? If you don't feel good in it, that means you are in bad company. You don't like yourself. You don't like to be with yourself. Right? So in this world, although the worldly people think Being alone or the solitude is a bad thing. The world will not appreciate this. But in the practice of Dhamma, even in some other practices, the solitude is appreciated. So this particular sutta that we have selected, the teaching that we have selected, it's something about solitude. And the name of this sutta is Theranama Sutta. Theranama Sutta. Otherwise, you can translate it as this: a bhikkhu named elder. Thera means elder. A bhikkhu named elder. This is the title of this sutta. And it's short, not very long, short and sweet sutta, we can say. Short and sweet teaching, we can say. But this teaching, this particular sutta, is deep as the sky. Very deep teaching Buddha includes in this particular sutta. So the teaching or the story begins like this. There was a bhikkhu named Elder. He is called Elder. His name is Elder. So this bhikkhu is a lone dweller. He likes to be alone with himself. And he goes to the village, gather pindapata alone. He returns back to the monastery alone. And he sits in meditation alone. And he walks in meditation alone. Whatever he does, he prefers being alone. He's a lone dweller. And this person is praising the aloneness. He's praising it. And he's practicing it. That's how this particular bhikkhu has spent his time. And some of the monks, they went to the Buddha and they gave some information or maybe a complaint about this particular bhikkhu. They are saying, Bhante, there's this particular bhikkhu named Elder and he is a lone dweller. He goes to the village alone, he comes back alone, he sits in meditation alone, he walks in meditation alone, and he praises being alone and he is practicing it. So Buddha says, okay, let's ask from him, and Buddha sent him a message asking him to come. And this particular bhikkhu come to Buddha, and Buddha is asking, Bhikkhu, is it true that you are a lone dweller? Then this bhikkhu says, yes, Bhante. Then Buddha asked, how do you practice your lone dwelling? Then this bhikkhu is explaining his practice. He is saying, I am going to the village alone. I gather pindapata alone. I come back to the monastery alone. I sit in meditation alone. I walk in meditation alone. I do my daily activities alone. I practice this lone dwelling and I praise it. That's his answer. So you can see this is his way of being alone. He is saying that I am going to the village alone. I am spending time with myself, and that is my lone dwelling. That is my way of practice. So this bhikkhu is explaining his way of practice, and he is saying, I am praising this. I am encouraging other people to be alone like this. So that's the incident that triggered this particular discussion. Now, as I mentioned earlier, most of us, we don't like to be alone. In other ways, we don't even have time to be alone. That's also true. We are always at work. We are always at the company of other people. And even in the short time that we get to ourselves, we are usually distracted on a device or something like that. So that's how we spend our time. And if there is some time that we have to spend alone, we don't feel good in it. We feel like running to someone, trying to talk to them or spend time with them. Otherwise, you find some distraction to distract you for a few hours. So this way, all our senses, they are overloaded. Our eyes, it is built probably for 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness. That is the natural rhythm. But are we in darkness for 12 hours? Probably not, right? All those devices that you use, they illuminate bright colors. The phones, TVs, computers and all those things. Even at our homes, we usually have the lighting, right? Probably maybe like 18 hours we are in extreme light. Especially the artificial lighting, all those devices and all those artificial lighting you have, they are too strong. It's not like the natural light. So you can see our eyes are overloaded. Then how many sounds that we hear? Vehicle noises, then loudspeakers, right? All those sounds are there. So continuous stream of sounds go through our ears, right? So that way we can see our ears are also overloaded. Then other senses, they too are overloaded. Particularly our mind, it is too overloaded. Because all these sense inputs go through our mind. So this is how we spend our time. Think about a work day, how many sounds that you have to encounter within that day. How many sights that you have to encounter. How many thoughts that you have to deal with in daily basis. So that way, we probably spend like 18 or so hours overloading our senses. And towards the end day, you feel headaches. You feel vomitish. You feel like you can't sleep. You go to the bed and there's this ringing sound in your head. Right? So that much overloaded our senses are. So usually we run with this. We don't see an escape from this. But in this practice, you are encouraged to appreciate some solitude. So in the teaching of Buddha, there are 3 types of solitude. The first one is bodily solitude or bodily seclusion. So that maybe when you go to a beach or a forest, when you go to nature, you can feel this bodily seclusion. Most of us, even without being practitioners, we do this. We go to the nature. We go on a trip. We go to a beach. We spend some time there. So you can see it's a good break from the sensor overload. It's a good break from day-to-day chaos. And when you spend some time alone, this bodily seclusion, you can probably even see certain solutions to your problems. Because your mind gets to see a bigger picture when you are relaxed. Right? So that happens. When you spend some time in nature, you feel that your mind is little peaceful. And as a result, sometimes a certain solution pops into your head. Maybe a problem that you have been having for some time, you suddenly see a solution. Right? So forget about the meditation practice. But if you simply spend some time in nature, if you spend some quality time with yourself, even that very practice can help. So this is bodily seclusion. You don't have any practice in your mind, you don't know meditation, but you go to the nature and seclude yourself bodily. So that too helps. That too is important. Right? Even in some other practices, this behavior is encouraged. Spending time with yourself. Going to the nature. In this Japanese concept of forest bathing, they have this concept of forest bathing. They simply go to a forest and spend some time there. You don't have to do much. Simply enjoy the nature, be there. Right? It's a good break for your senses. It's a good break for your mind. And you know, the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, he is explaining about this idea of a Superman. He uses this German word for it. I'll try to pronounce, but I don't think I'll be successful. He says Übermensch. Übermensch, something like that. The meaning is a Superman. Right? It's not a physical Superman, like the Superman that we know. It's not a physical Superman. Instead of, it's a psychological Superman. And he says, this Übermensch, or the Superman, is the next part of human evolution. He's explaining it, that humans have evolved throughout the ages. And he is saying that evolution is not finished. That's the very idea he is saying. Now the modern humans, they are called Homo sapiens sapien. Homo means like man, sapien sapien means one who knows. So the sapien word, these Latin words, sapien word is used twice. Right? So one who knows, that's used twice. There is some deep meaning in this. The modern humans are identified as a man who knows. But sapien word is used twice. That means the one who knows that he knows. Not only he knows, but he has the ability to know that. Knowing of knowing. Right? That very ability is there. And when you talk about mindfulness, we can really match that. The mindfulness is more like the evolution of the current human. You really can become a Homo sapiens sapien by practicing mindfulness. How do you do that? Not only you know, but you know that you know. The ability to know, even the animals have. Right? You throw a stone at a dog and it will run. So it has the ability to know. But knowing of knowing, that ability is only capable of humans. They only have that ability. Right? You are not only walking, but you have the ability to know that you are working. You are not only sitting, you have the ability to know that you are sitting. You are not only thinking, you have the ability to know that you are thinking. That very capacity is only unique to humans. That's why they are called Homo sapiens sapien. But truly the people, they haven't developed this ability. Probably they are not the modern humans. Instead, probably they are Neanderthals or some other type of humans. They haven't developed this ability of knowing. Right? So anyway, the Friedrich Nietzsche, he is saying that this human evolution is not finished. He is saying there is some other part that you yet to have to do. Right? You have to evolve. You have to develop yourself. And he is suggesting only by spending some solitude, only by being in solitude, this person can develop that ability. So in his writings also, he is promoting being alone or seclusion. he is saying by going to the seclusion, that evolution can happen. That's the very idea he is saying. And the man can become a superman. So that's Friedrich Nietzsche. Anyway, this is basically bodily seclusion that can really help you, that can relieve your stress, that can give you a break from your hectic lifestyle. And sometimes a problem that you have been suffering for a long time, suddenly you get an answer to it. Because your mind is not cluttered and you get to see a little bigger picture when you spend some time alone. And sometimes there are these realizations, like sometimes you see, this is what has happened. And this is why this person did this. All those type of things can come simply by practicing bodily seclusion. Right? So in this practice also, the Buddhist practices, first type of seclusion is considered as bodily seclusion. And it is praised by the Buddha and the other monks. This particular monk is also practicing that. He is saying, I am going to the village alone, I am coming back alone, I am having my meals alone, I sit and walk in meditation alone. That type of seclusion, I am practicing a bodily seclusion. Right? So these bodily seclusions can also help you. It can give solutions to your some problems. That's why in this modern age, they say most of the discoveries are not done at a lab, but it's done at a pub. Why? They take a break from work and they go to a pub. They get fed up with the work, they say, we need a break. And what happens? You go to a break and your mind is relaxed and comfortable. It gives the answer to the problem that you have been suffering. Right? Even that happened to Venerable Ananda. Remember, before the recitation ceremony, he was really practicing, doing the walking meditation, doing the sitting meditation, continuously, non-stop, trying to achieve Nibbana. Right? It was the qualification for him to participate in that recitation ceremony. And after practicing for many hours, late at night, he realized, now it's too much. Now it's too much. I have to remember things tomorrow. I have to explain those teachings to the gathering. So I should better take a break. That was the thought that came to Venerable Ananda. He gave up the practice, he went to bed. And that was the reason for him to find realization or Nibbana. Right? So you can see, going after a problem in a cluttered mind can't solve those things. Instead, you have to have a break from this cluttered mind. And even when you have a little break, most of the things become clearer. You get to see a bigger picture than those thought processes. Right? So this is only bodily seclusion. But Buddha is explaining even further. He is telling us 2 more types of seclusion. Then the second type is considered as mental seclusion. That is the second type that is identified in this Dhamma or the practice. What is mental seclusion? I will explain like this. Now you have been in the world. You have been at your homes, workplaces. Right? But today, in a Friday morning, you came to this place. You came to this place. By coming to this place, you have given up most of those worldly troubles. Now no more family responsibilities, no more work, and we try to keep our cell phones switched off, and only these troubles at this place, these troubles at the monastery is applicable to you. Right? We can hear the vehicle noises, we can hear that non-stop loudspeaker. Only those troubles are there. Right? And the environment is a bit hot these days. Right? Hot and humid. So those troubles are there. But after coming here, you come to this meditation hall, you sit in meditation, and you bring your attention to the breathing. Now what happens? Now you have even given up the troubles at this monastery. You have given up all those troubles, and by paying attention to breathing, you have given up everything else in this world. Let's say for a moment you are with the breath. Just for a moment, just for a single moment. But by being with the breath for a moment, being with the steps for a moment, you give up the entire world. That's very important to know. Right? For a tiny moment, you have given up the entire world. That type of seclusion is important. Now, wherever our attention goes, that's where our world is. That is true. Right? So let's say you have certain problems. You give attention to those problems. What happens? That becomes your world. You have certain other thoughts, maybe like compulsive thoughts about something, maybe fears, right? Future fears. We all have such things. So we repetitively give attention to those fears. What happens? That very particular fear becomes our world. So wherever attention goes, that becomes our world. Right? So that's why they say in this new age, they say attention is brain's boss. Attention is brain's boss. Wherever attention goes, the brain follows. Right? So that's why attention is very important. Where should you keep your attention? That's something very important. If you give attention to wrong things, then those things become your world. Right? It's not like we all are experiencing the same world. That's not how it works. Instead, our attention goes to different things. According to those things only, we are experiencing our world. Right? Now, it feels like all of us are sitting here, all of us are listening to the same Dhamma talk. That's how it feels. But are we listening to the same Dhamma talk? No. Right? Instead, you yourself listening to a unique Dhamma talk that is unique to you. Because your attention goes to certain things. Somebody else will grasp certain thing, you will grasp a different thing. So you can see wherever our attention goes, that's how the world is created. If your attention goes to wrong things, negative things, a negative world will manifest. If your attention goes to good things, positive things, a positive world will manifest. That's why even that Pollyanna's glad game is very important. Pollyanna, as a child, practicing glad game. She is saying, no matter what are the difficulties that you experience, what are the problems that you experience, if you search enough, you can find something to be glad. That's what Pollyanna is saying. So instead of focusing on negative things, instead of blaming, cursing, she is suggesting us that we should find some light in it. We should find something to be glad. Now we go to schools and we do these Satipasala sessions. And while doing them, when we try to teach children how to play this glad game, we say, your mother blames you. Now in this situation, how to be glad? How to play Pollyanna's glad game? So they keep thinking. Initially they say, although she blamed me, she is my mother. That's how I can play this glad game in this situation. And some other child would say, mother is blaming me for my own benefit. That's how I can play glad game. And we keep asking this question, and some kid from a corner will come up with a weird answer. He will say, although I was blamed, I wasn't hit. So that's something to be glad. Right? The mother blamed me, but I wasn't hit by her. So that's something to be glad. Right? So whatever the problems that you are experiencing, you can find something to be glad. Don't give so much value, so much attention to negative things. This world is full of them. If you give attention to them, then you will manifest a negative world. That's the issue. So we have to be wise with our attention. We have to be careful where we put our attention. If you train yourself to play this glad game, no matter whatever the negative things are there, you won't be affected. Why? Because your attention is given to the correct place, the rightful place. That's how we should do. Otherwise, if you keep on thinking about negative things, family matters, all those problems, it's a never-ending game. You keep thinking, and all those negativity will manifest in you. Right? So you have to be careful where to give your attention. So by giving attention to this bodily sensation, like the breathing or the walking steps, right? That is a simple thing to do. It's really hard to keep your attention with the breathing because it is not attractive, it is not pleasant, it is not unpleasant. Most of the time, breathing or the bodily sensations, they are not pleasant, nor pleasant, neither unpleasant. That's how they are. So that's why it's really hard to keep our attention with the breathing. As soon as you try it, you can feel all the negative, positive thoughts come, they will grab your attention. Time after time, your attention goes to those things. That's what you have trained before. You have given attention to those positive, negative thoughts, and they come and they grab your attention time after time. But the practitioners, they give attention to this neutral bodily sensation, or the breathing, or the walking sensations, or even daily life to their bodily sensations. By giving attention to bodily sensations, what happens is that you forget the rest of the world. For a moment, for a tiny moment, for a tiny breath, you have given up the entire world. And your attention is with the breathing. So this idea is explained as mental seclusion. Now you have created this practice in your mind, the second type of seclusion. And as a result, you can feel that your mind is somewhat comfortable. When you spend some time with the breathing, your posture becomes lighter. When you spend some time with the breathing, your mind becomes lighter. Right? So that change happens due to the mental seclusion. The mental seclusion, how to practice? By bringing your attention to these bodily sensations. By observing this breath, you have given up the rest of the world. For a moment, Next moment, again the world manifests. That's fine. That's fine. After a while, again you can watch another breath. Again you can watch another step. By doing that, little by little, you are encouraging this mental seclusion. And when you do it, you can even feel the body lighter. Now some people, you would argue that how does this body get lightened by doing meditation? That's a real question. You go stand on a scale, it's the same weight, right? Probably 70 kilograms or so. And how do I feel it lighter? It's a good question to ask. Maybe it's the gravity, is it? The gravity is changing. When you are meditating, the gravity is changing. You feel like you are floating in air. Something like that, right? But actually, this body, it feels heavy due to the mental clutter, right? So that's why most of us, we have so much effort even to move this body. It is not flexible. It is so heavy. And you slip and you break your leg. Why? So much mental clutter, and as a result, the body is so heavy. But when you pay attention to the breathing, you can really feel that the body becomes lighter. You don't have to do much. Maybe like observing breath for few minutes, 10-15 minutes, you start to feel this lightness in your body. So this appears as mental seclusion. By bringing attention to a particular object, you start to feel this comfortable body, and little by little you start to feel even the mind becomes little comfortable. Mind becomes peaceful. Mind becomes lighter. Those things happen. Right? So this is also considered as a good thing. You have reached the second stage of seclusion. According to Buddha's teachings, this is the second stage. Most of the other teachings, the worldly teachings, they are only mentioning the first one, the bodily seclusion. But Buddha is taking another step, and he is saying there is a second type of seclusion. And that type of seclusion is considered as mental seclusion. And let's say we go to a school and we do them couple of hours mindful practice. We introduce mindfulness, we do the walking, we do the sitting, and after a while we have a discussion with these children. Can you believe, practicing for the very first time, doing only 20 minutes of meditation, these children, they are talking about this mental seclusion. I remember one time, I think it was an international school, and they are probably like 12, 13 years old, that type of age. And this girl was saying repetitively about her experience. She said, I was walking, I could feel the steps. I was sitting, I could feel the breathing. But I felt this cloud nine kind of a relaxation in it. I felt like I was in heaven. I felt like I was so blissful. It's the very first time that I am experiencing such a feeling. So this girl is repetitively praising, saying that this is the very first time I have experienced such a feeling in my mind. Probably for the first time in her life, she is experiencing this mental seclusion. It's like we have been possessed, and we didn't know anything beyond this possession. Right? So we have been dealing with it. We have been experiencing the suffering that comes out of it. We have been struggling with that possession. But suddenly you realize there is something beyond this possession. Right? That very realization is life-changing. The practice is not over. You are simply beginning. Simply starting the practice. But that very realization is life-changing. You see, there is something beyond my current mind. There is something beyond this stress. There is something beyond all these thoughts, problems. And when you experience it for the very first time, I am sure most of you have felt it. When you experience it for the very first time, you feel like you are in heaven. You feel like you attain Nibbana. That type of a feeling it gives. But you are simply just beginning or starting to feel this mental seclusion. That's all you feel. But that very experience is so much worthy, so much appreciated. Right? So even the children, without knowing anything about this practice, without knowing all the teachings, they too can feel this after 20-30 minutes of practice. They too say that I felt like in heaven. I felt like cloud 9. That's how I felt. Right? So you can see this is the mental seclusion that we are talking about. Little by little we try to extend that period. Initially you do 10-15 minutes, that's all you can do. But gradually, little by little, you have to develop that practice. You have to extend that practice. And when you do it, you feel like even in my daily life, I feel this relaxation or comfort. You are dealing with your usual matters, but there is this calm or lightness in your body and mind. What is the reason for that? You have been practicing this mental seclusion. That's why we encourage for you to watch breath every now and then. In your body, it is always breathing. Probably like 20,000 breaths happen daily. You are walking, probably like 8,000 steps daily. So every now and then, try to bring your attention to the breathing. When you are busy at work, take a few seconds and notice your breath. When you are facing a certain problem, take a break and go for a walking session. Few minutes. But you go, you walk for a while, you come back. Right? Even driving a vehicle, instead of all those anxiety, all those mental clutter, simply try to be mindful. I remember one person, he was saying his own experience, 6 hours drive. 6 hours drive. This person was saying, when I do this drive, usually I feel so much stress, so much anxiety due to the long drive. But I make a determination to do a mindful drive. I was watching the road, I felt the breathing, I felt the steering wheel touching my hand. All those things I felt and I continued on this journey. And to my surprise, he is saying after 6 hours of drive, I didn't feel that much stress or that much anxiety. Instead, I felt calm and relaxed. So you can see even a hectic task like driving, you can approach it differently. So these experiences, they are simply mental seclusion. It's not over. Buddha is not finished yet. But we are experiencing somewhat comfortable nature in our mind. That is a good thing. That is appreciated. The bodily seclusion is appreciated. Then the mental seclusion is even more appreciated. Right? So while practicing meditation like this, we of course feel the mental seclusion. Time after time, our attention goes to other things. The world appears, the thoughts appear, the sounds appear, but that's okay. That's okay. You have the ability to return back to the breathing. That's the ability we are exercising. Time after time, we are training ourselves. For a beginner, we encourage them to continue this practice for a while. If this is your first day, you don't feel very successful. You don't feel that you have achieved something. Most of us, when we start practicing mindfulness, the first thing we encounter is unmindfulness. How unmindful we are. That is the very first experience. But you shouldn't get discouraged. We have to tell you that it is the very first step. You get to know unmindfulness. Right? Sometimes at Satipasala we have this video. That video is done by explaining unmindfulness. All the unmindful behaviors are there. Probably like 10 minutes video. And we go to a new audience. Instead of explaining mindfulness, we will say, this is your friend. Who is your friend? Unmindfulness. That's your friend. You already know this unmindfulness. So let's watch this video, understand the friend who knows unmindfulness. That's our friend. We will understand that friend, and the opposite of this is mindfulness. That's how we explain to them. Right? And when they watch the video, they simply get it. Okay, I have this behavior. I do all these mistakes. I keep staring at a phone and drop my drink or something like that. Right? So all those things, by feeling unmindfulness, we know this is very much familiar. Right? So when you start your mindful practice, don't get discouraged. The first encounter will be unmindfulness. You get to see how scattered, how cluttered your mind is. How anxious your mind is. How much of a struggle to observe the breathing or the walking sensations. But don't get discouraged. If it is your first day, these few hours of practice is enough. Now your work is done for the day. Now for the rest of the time, you can take a good break. Take a snap and be comfortable. Again tomorrow you do few hours, minutes of practice. Again you experience it tomorrow. Right? It is a gradual process. You can't force it. Most people, they get it wrong by forcing the practice. They try to force themselves into Nibbana. Like Venerable Ananda. No, that's not how it works. Instead, you have to create this practice gradually. It's like going to a gym. Right? You go to a gym, you exercise for a few hours, you come back home, and you go in front of a mirror to see whether you have developed your muscles. Will you see a difference? No. Right? Then again, tomorrow you go to a gym, exercise for a few more hours, you come back home and see whether you have developed muscles. No progress. You don't see it like that. What you have to do is, do 1 hour of practice. Go to the gym every other day or so. Right? And without thinking about it much, simply continue for some time. And when you probably continue for few months, then you get to see that your body has changed. You got to see that your body has developed these muscles. Your body has a stronger strength. That type of feeling you get after few months only. So this practice, the mindfulness, it's like a muscle in your mind. It's a muscle in your mind. So you have to exercise it. Right? Don't try to exhaust yourself by exercising non-stop. That's not how it works. You exercise yourself, you take a break. Then again you return and you exercise yourself. Right? That way you have to continue for few weeks, few months, gradually. You have to be compassionate towards yourself. That is important. Most of the practitioners, they don't have compassion towards themselves. They usually have compassion towards the world, right? They try to spread compassion towards the world, but they don't have compassion towards themselves. They have been in this difficult lifestyle for decades. Suddenly they start practicing and they want to force themselves into Nibbana. That's not how it works. Usually it becomes a pain-seeking behavior. Most of the people, under the name of the practice, they practice pain-seeking behaviors. Atta-kilamatani yoga, right? They don't know that they are pain-seeking, but that's what they do. Time after time, they are chasing this practice. They are refusing to deal with other things. They are hating their family members. And that way, it becomes a pain-seeking behavior. So the most important thing is to have or be compassionate towards yourself. You have been through a difficult journey. So you have to take it slow. Gradually turn it towards betterment. That's the very idea. So if you don't have compassion towards yourself, then it is difficult. Right? Most of the practitioners, they don't have it. They think that they can exhaust themselves, they can force themselves into Nibbana. But that's not how it works. Instead, gradually you have to develop. Gradually you have to continue. And when you do it, suddenly you realize, now I feel much more peaceful at my mind. I used to be in hell. I was suffering so much. I felt so much stress. But due to this practice, now I feel lighter. Even the problems at home or work, I don't exhaust myself with them. You know how to handle them wisely. That's the very idea. So all these qualities will be developed by mental seclusion. Now there's this story about a Zen monk. His name is Bodhidhamma. I'm sure some of you already heard his name. And it says how Bodhidhamma became wise. That's the story. And the story says by how Bodhidhamma became wise by staring at a blank wall for 9 years. Right? By staring at a blank wall for 9 years, he became wise. Now most of you would think how to become wise by staring at a wall. That's the very idea, right? That's the very question that comes to your mind. But let's take this wall as a metaphor, right? Staring at this thing time after time, watching this thing time after time, it's like observing your breath, observing your steps, right? For so many years, so many months, so many weeks, you are doing that repetitive task. Instead of giving attention to other things, you know where you should keep your attention. You know that you have to bring your attention to the breathing. You know that you have to bring your attention to the walking sensations. You know you have to bring your attention to the daily activities. That's the wall. That's a metaphor that's used. Staring at a wall for 9 years, he became wise, it says. Right? So that's the very idea, very practice. And some people, they come and say, how could I live like this? I am a busy person. I have so many things to do. I have to plan myself. I have to go attend to my work. I have to perform. So how can I be like this? How can I continue my life like this? Most people will ask. Especially busy people, they will ask. But you have to understand, the very first thing is that you can't run 24/7 like a machine. If you work at a factory, if you know the machines, even they have a break. That's called maintenance time. Right? They can't run for 24/7. That's not possible. Instead, at least you have to have 1 hour break, maintenance. And the rest of the time you can run the machine smoothly. So most of us think that we can run 24/7 with non-stop. And most of us think we don't need maintenance time. Even the hardest, heaviest machines, they need a maintenance time. Right? So we can't do like this. You can sit at your work desk and you can spend many hours, but that doesn't mean you are productive. Most of us, we would spend so many hours, but we don't get anything done. Why? It's the clutter in your mind. So don't get me wrong, you can do all those things. You can pay attention to your work. You can do the necessary things. But this amount of planning is not necessary. This amount of worrying or thinking is not necessary. That is totally wasted energy. For example, let's say tomorrow you have an important presentation. You prepare everything. You go to sleep. You tell yourself, I need a good break before the tomorrow's presentation. What happens? Can you take a break? No. Time after time, all those thoughts will come. You get anxious. Sometimes you don't get proper sleep due to that very excitement, due to that very planning. So the thinking is a tool, but we can't use it as a tool. It becomes a master. Time after time, these thoughts come, they bother you, they disturb your sleep. So you can feel, although the thinking is helpful, we have given it so much value, it becomes the master. It becomes the master of our mind. And we struggle to continue. We feel so much stress, anxiety. We feel that due to these thoughts, I can't pay attention to the necessary things. Right? So you have to understand, thinking is useful. You can use it, but use it as a tool. Don't give the chance for the thinking to become the master. It's not the master of this mind. It's a fatal mistake to think that this is the highest capacity of our mind. The ability to think. Most people think that's the highest capacity of our mind. Even that famous experiment, René Descartes, he, after experimenting with himself for many months probably, he came to a conclusion, I think, therefore I am. That's his conclusion. And that's a fatal conclusion. A fatal mistake. Why? Identifying with your thoughts and emotions. That's the mistake he has done. And due to that mistake, again and again you have to go through this suffering. Again and again you have to feel the anxiety, stress. Again and again you become suicidal. Again and again you become depressed. So in this practice, we are not appreciating these thoughts. We are not giving these thoughts the highest position. Instead we say thoughts are useful, it's a tool, but it's just a tool. That's not the master of this mind. What is the faculty that we are appreciating? Instead of faculty of wonder, the ability to think, we are appreciating the faculty of awareness. That's the highest capacity. That's the remaining part of evolution. That's how you can become the superhuman or a real Homo sapiens sapien. Right? So that's very idea. Mental seclusion. It can really help you. Especially people who are spending busy lifestyles, it can really help you. Every now and then try to bring your attention to the breathing. Go for a walk and try to feel the steps. Take a break from the work and spend some mindful time. That way, gradually we can practice mental seclusion. Now, the bhikkhu named Elder, he started with the bodily seclusion, and in this practice there is this second step of mental seclusion. In tomorrow's talk we will see what Buddha is saying about his practice. Now today we only explained the elder's part, his practice, the Thera, Bhikkhu. He is saying, this is my practice, I am a long dweller. Now the Buddha's feedback is yet to come. That part we will focus tomorrow. With that we will conclude today's Dhamma talk.